So Eden is officially coming to a Honkai near you. It's true, people. 5.7, Eden and Eponia are coming to be playable, and Eden is going to be an SP Valkyrie who wields double pistols. And today, I want to talk to you about why double pistols are superior and why Eden's design is flawless. To start off, when Eden was first announced in ER, I was mostly indifferent to her character until very recently when I saw the trailer for the upcoming patch for CN, and we got to see Eden in action using her weapons. I am a massive sucker to women who use pre-modern era weapons or shotguns, pistols, anything of the like. So we're going to be looking at her weapons, breaking down what the design is, and then looking at her animations to see how she uses that in combat. I'm so happy because I think this is really a breath of fresh air that we needed. A lot of the pistols that were coming out look absolutely nothing like real weapons. I'm looking at you, Flame Scion. I don't know what those are, and I've never seen you use them in battle. So, a pistol user that actually uses the pistols that look like pistols is kind of amazing. So if I need to explain to you why women who shoot guns are amazing, just imagine this elegant lady. We have Eden, a songstress, dressed like this, cocking back the hammer on a pistol and shooting it. And I'm sure she just tanks the recoil too, because she's a lady. But then factor in that she double wields, and my mind is being blown as we speak. This infatuation has to go back to the grandiosity of the Bonnie and Clyde era, Bayonetta, and even people who wield huge guns like Caitlyn from LOL, Shion from Tales of Arise. Basically just take any femme fatale and give her a massive gun of the pre-modern era kind, and I will be satisfied. I'll be more than satisfied. So without further ado, let's get going. Alright, the first thing that got my eye was the end of this rod. It's curved and kind of like a concave spherical shape, which is exactly like the end of a rod used to load a muzzleloader. Given the time period that Eden looks like she's coming from, especially wielding something like this, it totally looks like she could be muzzleloading these pistols, which in reality wouldn't make any sense because you need two hands to do that. However, if you don't know what I'm saying, muzzleloading is where you take black powder and then you put it in the barrel and then stick the bullet down inside of it, and you have to compact it all down with the rod, so the rod would be equal length to the gun, which is why it's stored on the gun. And you'd have to do this before every shot. It can only store one bullet at a time because you're putting it directly into the barrel. And then you have to cock the hammer back, and then you're able to shoot once the hammer strikes the flint and ignites the gunpowder. This is a very old technique of shooting guns. However, it's kept alive through shooting sports today. I really love the technique for shooting sports. However, for actual applicability, it's not really great. In the war, when they actually had to use these, it'd have 4 people in a row that would be loading the gun so that the person who's shooting would have a gun ready at all times because it takes so damn long to load. So the fact that Eden's using 2 of them, 1 doesn't really make sense, but it's 2 also kind of epic if we just throw away the sense part. Because of course, if we consider the fact that this technology is pretty old, they didn't have the things that we have today to minimize kickback. So using a pistol one-handed is already kind of badass. Using a pistol in both hands on your non-dominant hand is even better, even though in reality you probably shouldn't do that because it's dangerous. But honestly, this is a video game, so who cares? Okay, so moving right along, there's a lot of gold detailing and this plate here that has the vines on it, which is kind of Eden's thing. You say, oh, you know, Eden's thing is gold because that's, you know, she's rich. But intricate designs on pistols was such a thing in the days of old that it just makes perfect sense that these two things go together. Having a gun with like an intricate design is a status symbol. When antiquers go and look at guns, they look at the designs on the gun to tell where it was made, who it was made by, and what era it was from. It's really that important. Which is why this gun is so good, because so many of the other weapons in this game have all these intricate designs on the outside that are very flashy and don't really serve any purpose. When looking through the other guns, these are the only other long barrel weapons that I found. This and then the pumpkin one, which we're not even going to talk about because I think it's self-explanatory why I don't like that weapon. But already we see that this one doesn't have the action. It doesn't have a hammer that you have to pull back before every shot, which means that relatively in technology speaking, it's newer than the one that Eden holds. But again, it also has this rod with the curved end on it, which makes me think immediately that the one on Eden's could be mistaken for a sight because it's on top. But in reality, 1, when you're double wielding, you probably aren't taking the time to aim through a sight. And 2, the sights on pistols tend to be much more low profile in the way that it wouldn't be a tunnel that you have to look through. It's just like a goalpost, basically, because you don't have the time to align two sights like you would on a typical rifle. And then the other thing on this is I don't know what all of this other stuff is. It's honestly extra weight, and when it comes to pistols, having too much weight is definitely a bad thing. I don't think anyone wants to carry around 20 pounds of extra armor on their weapon. However, this one is flared, and I do kind of like that, although the pumpkin one has a better flare, if we're gonna be honest. Okay, going back to Eden's, we were talking about the sight. This is likely the sight, since all you have to do is look through the goalpost. This is a goalpost. We're gonna call this a goalpost, okay? Anyone who knows their guns really well, don't come at me. I know it's a sight. I don't think it's a very accurate sight, but hey, it's better than nothing. Although, I don't see her aiming in her animation, so I think it's nothing. Okay, and then lastly, probably the most important thing is that there's strings on this gun, because Eden uses a harp. And if that's not the most intelligent integration I've ever seen in a weapon, then I don't know what is. There's no reason that any kind of weapon would need to have strings on it like this. But of course Eden would find a way to put a harp onto a pistol. I don't think that it has any functional purpose other than the fact that she actually uses a harp on the battlefield, which is funny when you put it in the same sentence as functional, because she'll kill people with the power of the harp. That's a new one. And then, of course, which I'm sure you could have made your own conclusions about, it has a long barrel, which just makes it more elegant, because she's a lady. Okay, so we finally got Eden in combat, and we're gonna look at her normal attack, animations, and everything that she's got. So, the first thing that we see is that she absolutely tanks the kickback on the pistols, which is insane. Look at her go! She's literally ready to pick up the other arm as soon as the other arm is done firing. Alright, so Eden has 2 charge attack animations, and it's the first one that I really want to show you because she has almost an uncanny ability to fire both guns at the same time. So we gotta fill up 3 of these, and then you charge, and look at this. Alright, the second one, she does more of like, I'm not even sure what to call that. The boomerang situation. But let's look at this one again. This one's my absolute favorite. We're gonna have to slow that down in post. But oh my gosh. She's like a machine gun. She's obviously not using the single action on the gun and cocking the hammer back every single time, but it's okay because it's a video game and it makes her look cool. Or, you know, they were just so technologically advanced 50,000 years ago that they were able to make a gun that has a hammer and not even need to use it, but maybe it's for aesthetic purposes. Okay, so the second thing that I want to talk about is Eden's weapon active, which kind of acts like a flare gun, which is amazing because at first I had thought that her gun was flared at the end, which would generally mean that it acts as a flare gun, but it wasn't, so I was kind of disappointed by that, but definitely not disappointed in the fact that she just shoots it up into the sky and it rains down hell upon your enemies. Alright, and then last but not least, the ultimate is the harp, because that's where we saw it come from, the guns, and you know, she has the harp built into the guns, so that doesn't quite go into the epicness of using the guns as a weapon, but I'll give her a pass because the harp looks dope AF. And she sings in her idol, isn't that nice? Oh, look at her little hair. She's cute too. Alright, I think it has to go without saying that this is my absolute favorite attack. There's just something about it being so unexpected of a lady to double wield pistols and be able to shoot them like that, and yet she does it so elegantly. It just blows my mind. Alright, so we've seen everything that Eden has to offer for now, including looking at her weapons, seeing her attack animations, and if I'm going to say anything on a final note, it's that personally I think that this is the most aesthetically pleasing weapon Valkyrie combo, aside from Keys of Oblivion on Onyx, but it is definitely worth it to get this weapon if you care about aesthetics because, oh my gosh, I think that they look perfect together. These weapons were definitely made for her, and they are definitely, aesthetically, the best weapons in the game. They're incredibly detailed and actually physically make sense when it comes to weapon building. Yay! So anyway, that's all for now. Peace!